been helping with the cockpit experience sprint with the goal of making the feeling of sitting in your ship much more dynamic. Some of this is incorporating psychological effects such as blackout. Moving on to the graphics team, the new render detection system has been a key focus this month. One major issue of this tech has been the hologram system, which will be used for mission briefings, comms calls, mobiGlas, and many other situations. The render detection system will be used for all our new user interfaces, and we're also aiming to use this for live rendering of video comms calls from other players. The graphics team have also added a host of new features to the GPU particle system, such as lighting, turbulence, and anti-aliasing. They'll be used as many cool new effects in 3.0. On a smaller scale, but just as important, we've taken the Gemini manufacturer and created a slick-looking heavy machine gun with the iconic cooling system as seen on other Gemini guns. Work continues to flesh out texture of space and to provide a greater palette for the artist to make space travel interesting and at times support the narrative in both the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. One specific element is our new space dust shader, allowing us to add large volumes of space dust to the Stanton system for the 3.0 release. Yellow's asteroid belt has also been improved, which once again makes use of the new shader type. All the major outpost archetypes have been finished. This includes dressing for different corporate and independent companies for various functions such as mining, hydroponics, habitation and storage. It also includes some additional unique varieties such as emergency shelters, abandoned outposts and gang-owned outposts too. All outpost doors and airlocks have been switched to the Door 2.0 system, meaning that they can interact with different rooms, power systems, oxygen, overrides and hazards. Outpost clusters and additional exterior elements have been finalized. This includes outposts, landing pads, paths, power modules, water collectors, weather stations, relay stations and exterior lighting. The outposts are represented by several different corporate companies, as well as independents and gangs. Planet surface integration is ongoing. Sand, dust, and frost materials have been finalized to help blend the outposts into the moons. Decals have been used to add an extra layer of dirt buildup and have also helped to blend in the exterior landing pads and props. The main hub is currently being worked on, based off concepts from art direction, and additional pieces have been made to add more of a truck stop character. The side shops and corridors have had a first pass on them. The Platinum Base shop is having its own building set made for it, so it looks more distinctive, and an admin office has been created so players drop off packages relating to missions. Finally, an observation room has been blocked out facing the landing pads, so players can watch the comings and goings of other players' ships from the interior of the station, and to locations such as Port Olisar and Grim Hex. All the 3.0 locations have been updated with a new Door and Airlocks 2.0 system, and 2 new shops have been added to Grim Hex. One is an independent ship's part trader, and another, Technotic, is an old electronics store. On the UI front, work has been cracking along on the new mobiGlas UI and all the other various new apps that will become available for 3.0. Last month, we successfully integrated the mobiGlas and kiosk UIs using the new render detection tech, and the visual result proved promising in further achieving the look that the team is after. In addition, we've been working with the VFX team to couple particle effects and lighting to help ground the UI projection within the game world environment. As part of this, we've been working to drive the second multidisciplinary sprint for the Star Map app, the goals of which are to implement the remaining functional requirements for the 3.0 release, as well as improve upon the general visual fidelity and user experience from previous iterations. This involves focused collaboration between art, VFX, audio, and engineering teams to help bring together a refined experience. We've also wrapped up work on implementing the basic functional requirements for the new Mission Manager app, allowing players to view information on available missions, as well as allow players the ability to accept, track, and abandon missions which have been accepted, as well as view a log of the previous missions which have been completed or attempted. Along with the work on the Item 2.0 ship conversion, we have started to implement the new Pilot multifunctional displays, which refines the UI of previous iterations and adds new information as well as capabilities in managing your ship systems. We've also been helping with the recent Doors and Airlock sprint, where we helped to design and implement new status displays for the various airlocks throughout the system, which also utilized the new render detection tech, audio and the interior ship audio for the Javelin. The team is also helping. Also, various locations for the 3.0 release have been revised and improved in terms of environmental and ambient sound, with members of the audio team even As always, the ship team has been up to a lot this past month. Work on the Derelicts is coming to a close for this phase. We have the Starfarer, Caterpillar, Constellation and Freelancer ready to be used in various gameplay missions, both in space and planetary locations. Work on the Reclaimer is almost complete, with only 3 rooms left to go through final art. This month we've wrapped up final art on the cargo room as well as the main lift. In both cases, we tried to maximize the space to allow for easier transportation of cargo. A huge amount of effort is going into making the cockpit functional in a tight area. We've implemented retractable screens which fold around the player when seated. And we were concept to final art, and we're really looking forward to seeing people using them in the verse. And the team has also been busy working on the bridge area. and the bridge lift, which provides access to the lower deck. Well, that's our update for the month.
For moons, planets, Delamar, the Delamar planetoid, Lasky, and so on. Each planet is unique, it has its own gravity, ecosystems, objects, weather, and atmosphere. If you look at the footage here, the progress we made since we started working on this, you can see the planet from space, and you can smoothly fly from planet to space without any cutscene. Here is that you can land anywhere seamlessly on the planet. And basically, the only way to do this is to generate the planet's surface as you're approaching it. The terrain is getting generated, recursively subdivided. Objects are procedurally scattered on the surface as they are becoming visible, as well as particles, ground details, and so on. When you are on the surface, you're able to see objects like space stations, moons, and so on, orbiting around the planet in space. Fixed pool of geometry shared for all planets and a fixed pool of memory used for texture streaming. Since you can land anywhere, as mentioned before, the only solution is to procedurally generate on demand the planet's surface. The geometry is generated on the fly, and textures are procedurally combined at runtime, blending many layers. This allows seamless transition from space to planet. The source data used for generation is very small. For example, on these moons, we are using only about 5 unique ecosystems for each planet. Each ecosystem has different properties, and they are all combined with other layers and noise combinations to generate a large amount of variations all over the planet's surface.
There was no content, there were no objects, no rocks, no trees and all that. We had a very basic system, but that didn't really work for what we wanted to achieve. So most of the R&D went into this object scattering system. The difficulty with the object scattering is to get a natural look. When you traditionally you make a level for a game, and you can place your rocks anywhere you like, or your trees, and you can compose the scene where the player comes in, and you have this nice vista and these background assets and all this type of stuff.
So we need to do a bunch of operations on CPU side to make sure it all works on the dedicated server as well. Usually dedicated servers don't have a graphics card. So currently all terrain generation is done on CPU, and most of the visual textures blending is done on GPU on the client. Generation results are cached in the fixed geometry pool mentioned before, and the generation is distributed over all available meshing cores. So the generation is very efficient and is scaling with the number of available cores. The generational results are exactly the same on client and server, so there is no need to transmit any information to replicate the environment. Here we're watching a video recorded by our QA of 4 players playing together and landing on a planet. You can see the seamless transition of all of them landing on the same planet's surface.
When you would work on an FPS level, for example, you would, even if it's a very large map, you would cover like 4 kilometers. You don't have to worry about what happens outside of the playable boundaries. What we try to do in Star Citizen is basically cover all those elements. So you come in from a very far distance, fly close to the surface, you step out of your ship and you walk around and look at like the rocks and the ground and the details. You have to make sure you cover all these different ranges. which takes some getting used to. It's an interesting system to work with for sure, and on the one hand you lose the opportunity to hand.
But yeah, the nice thing is that every now and then you come to a certain corner of the planet or the moon, and you're just surprised by how the objects are arranged, and it just works out beautifully. Also with the sunlight, you never know how the sunlight is because the planets, you never know what time it is, or you can't just say, okay, I want this in a sunset. So every now and then you have these moments where everything comes together and it just works out beautifully, and you have this nice, scenic, huge environment right in front of you.